Solace and Sanctuary by Ignium 807. Chapter 9. Can you see the threads of destiny? Gwen can. She overhears Lord Julian say, "You're coming," and she knows deep in the parts of her that may be a little magical that the golden strands she has seen forming around the mansion will tighten now, wrapping and binding and solidifying the whole estate in destiny's distant embrace. Those same strands stream from Julian like a cape. They dance in his lover's golden eyes. She sees them now through the windows of the manor descending with the snow. She watches as Lettenhove is enshrined in the halls of fate. Down in the kitchen she hands a coin to another serving girl. "That quick?" says the girl. "I just saw them go upstairs," Gwen answers. She ruffles her skirts and leans against the counter, arms crossed loose over her chest. "You know what this means." Her friend offers her a soft smile. "There will be more." Gwen nods. "There will be more." For all his heart, thinks Leo, Julian doesn't pay much attention to what's really happening in Lettenhove. He cares when people are in danger, but the extra linens in the closet, the blacksmiths with much larger forges than the previous year, the steel in the eyes of his household staff, he does not notice these things. Leo cannot see the threads as Gwen does, but he feels their changes all the same. There is something different about the rose of Lettenhove these days. Colors are brighter, shadows darker. Sometimes he holds up his hand to the candlelight just to see it, just to make sure it remains unchanged. Julian has changed. He is less human than before. His veneer of flagrant silliness is wearing off, giving way to cutting humor and a magnetic presence that Leo hardly notices until suddenly, abruptly, it is there. Looking away from Julian is like seeing the world after focusing on a single spot for hours, jarring in its intensity. Knowledge comes with age. Leo knows a great many things about people and a great many tales about magic. Most of the tales came from Julian, which is how he knows that they contain a kernel of truth. He knows that there are people who can throw flame from their palms or rend a man's head from his shoulders with a flick of their fingers. But he also believes in quieter magic, the kind that sits in wait until it is needed and looks like luck to the uncaring eye. He believes in this magic because he has seen it with his own eyes. A man of Leo's age is prone to injury. Sharp as he may be, one wrong fall could break or pull something far more easily than when he was a young man. Yet, Leo has not had an injury in months. Not a paper cut, not a bruise. He hasn't fallen down the stairs or tripped on a pebble in the road or even bumped his elbow unpleasantly against a countertop. None of the people in his employ have either. Not a single member of the manor staff has caught cold for nearly a year. This is quiet magic. This is the warm darkness in Julian's eyes. This is how Leo knows, with the wisdom of his age, that there will be more witchers at Lettenhove for many more years to come. Jaskier winks in Letho's arms. It's funny how different the witchers feel. They're all large men, muscular and scarred, but he can always tell who is pressed close when he winks. Perhaps it's the difference in hold. Geralt fits with him like a glove, curves and angles align like two reflections, something the poetic part of Jaskier is still unable to capture in song. Lambert clings. Eskel is respectful, close but not overbearing, never taking too much. More than anything, Letho is dead weight. He is not so much holding Jaskier as existing next to him, all of Letho dead to the world, so lost in sleep that even his limbs lost their animation. It's not unpleasant. They have somehow managed not to move at all during the night, so Jaskier is still stretched out on top of Letho's chest. Heavy arms rest across his back, just this side of too warm. He takes a deep breath. Not unpleasant at all. They don't move until well past noon. Jaskier suspects that Letho has been awake far longer than he lets on, but he neither asks nor cares. Both of them deserve the extra sleep. When they do get up, it's in the loosest sense of the term. Someone brings food to the door and Jaskier grabs it without a word. He sits in the corner and strums lightly on his lute, plucking out gentle chords and melodies to the beat of Letho's breaths. It is the longest he has been silent out of choice rather than fear or exhaustion for many months. Letho's ability to hold himself still would be alarming if Jaskier hadn't spent so much time around Geralt. He rests in a chair by the fire, eyes shut, not one twinge or shiver to give away the fact that he is flesh, not stone. The sounds of gentle bickering break their reverie. The disgruntled voice is Lambert's, the placating one Eskel's, and the silence that follows the other two like a shroud is Geralt. Jaskier watches from a window as they trudge up to the manor's entrance through nearly 2 feet of snow. Letho rises from his chair and comes to set a hand on Jaskier's shoulder. They both look out the window for a long moment, and Jaskier can see from their reflections in the glass that Letho's eyes are trained on him. Eskel knocks at the front door outside, and Letho pulls away, the heat of his fingertips whispering over Jaskier's skin and vanishing into the air. A monster is dead, and with no major injuries to any of the witches that killed it. Jaskier has Leo break out a bottle of his best wine, which quickly disappears, then several kegs of much less expensive ale. Lambert and Eskel entrench themselves in a game of Gwent. Jaskier corners Geralt in the kitchen.
I have to admit,
Geralt rumbles.
I'm impressed.
Oh? Jaskier leans against the counter next to him, hands in his pockets, and head tilted as if he has no idea what Geralt is talking about.
Thought it would take at least a month.
No sense waiting for a little physical affection, Jaskier says. I've taught you better than that. Geralt hums and nods. He soaks up the stillness of the empty room, Jaskier's presence like a steady beating drum at his side.
You know he can't join us.
Oh no.
You don't sound upset.
I'm not. Jaskier's face is turned towards the hearth, his chestnut hair turned gold around the edges. He always looks more fey in flickering light, as if the brightness cannot chase the shadows away fast enough to hide the magic in his blood. I understand history, Geralt. It's a layered, twisting beast, and far too much of it lies between you and him for comfort.
I expected you to be frustrated with that.
I'm not, Jaskier repeats. I love your brothers, you know, more than I ever love my own family, but you're the only one I'd lay down my life for. He turns to face Geralt, and his eyes are a riptide. All it takes is a touch for Geralt to be pulled out to sea, torn away from shores by forces far beyond his control.
I would never ask you to do that.
And I would never invite a man to our bed who once tried to kill you. Geralt shorts his hands on Jaskier's hips. He leans in close so his next words sound into Jaskier's ear.
That's a short list.
He can hear the furrow in Jaskier's brows. Men who've tried to kill you?
Men who haven't.
Jaskier laughs and winds his hands through Geralt's hair, dirty from fighting and brittle from the cold. I think Yennefer will scold us for only speaking of men.
Yennefer belongs on her own damn list.
Jaskier looks ready to come up with some retort, but Geralt kisses him before he can manage it. Arms wrap around his neck, slender and warm, and the night air that blows in from the window sends a chill rippling through him. He pulls back as little as he can, breathing into shared space. Thank you, he says. The response is merely a whisper, more felt than heard. Jaskier's lips like a benediction against his own.
For you, anything.
Destiny crosses the threshold as the house retires to bed. Jaskier and his wolves return to their shared room, a huddle of warmth and a friendly jostling of elbows. Letho goes upstairs to sleep like a rock. Leo sleeps in the servants' quarters, in a room that Jaskier has offered to move him out of for years, but which he keeps because he likes the memories it holds. She lays a hand on one stone wall, the crevices of it flashing gold like the strands that now envelop the manor in a cocoon. The stone heats beneath her palm, then cools. The grain is planted now. 5 slumbering figures, not one of them fully human, lie within the house. 5 long, long lives that will bring about the change they have already begun. Her magic will sit in their halls and watch. It binds their lives together, and given time, it will bind many, many more. Destiny leaves. All that marks her passing is a swirl of snow that catches at her feet as she steps out of the manor and into the night beyond.